There we go. Hello, everybody. My name is Frigid Hyperion, and welcome back to the Wilds of Wildemount campaign. On today's session, we have with us myself playing as Moonzic, Kale playing as Brine, and Rocky playing as Edward. And as ever, we have our lovely dungeon master, Emily. Take it away.
First up, as always, wanted to give a big thank you to Describe. Your soundscapes are invaluable to us. If you enjoy what you are hearing, please make your way over to describe.com/wow or enter WOW at checkout for 10% off your first payment, your monthly payment, whatever. You get 10% off. It's a good deal. We love it.
We love Describe.
Yes. Kale,
Yes.
do you feel prepared to recap last session?
Sure.
Great. Go to the recap then.
I thought you were going to ask initially if he was prepared to betray all of us.
That too.
Last session of Wildemount, Brine started her dastardly plot to betray all of the WoW members, but only in Moonzic's mind. In actuality, the three of us, Brine, Moonzic, and Edward, went to the auction house. There, we started a rumor about the value of our wine and looked into who might be big players in selling wine of extraordinary stock.
I mean, it's not a rumor if it is actually valuable.
Well, we started rumors to increase its value, then when people buy stuff, the value increases, Cyclical value and such.
I mean, it's not disingenuous anymore.
We then decided to enter with our meager funds into bidding wars, which we probably should not have. Purchasing the rights to a toll gate and 3 tamed griffins. We are now in debt.
Well,
After the purchase and bill staring us in the face, we decided to ignore our problems and speak to the broker who we had originally asked to meet us outside of the auction house. There he decided to trade first pleasantries and then secrets with the help of a book that ensured the secrets were of equal value. I shared the key component that I held for my patron Ukator, and the circumstances in which it was bequeathed to me, stuff that I had kept even from my party members. Then the broker shared his deepest desire to break his contract with the gods, all of the gods. And that his contract was that he could gain nothing, either in ideas or in objects, without first dealing with
material goods.
Exactly. He shared how he had been around since the events of the Calamity and further, and he shared that he did not view us as foes, although would not shy away from dealing with our enemies either. Upon offering him some credit in my work, I also asked if he could put a word in with the goddess Ayun, who is the patron goddess of the Cobalt Soul, where I have a test coming up in hopes to gain audience with Ayun herself to search for ways out of the grasp of Ukatoa before any negative consequences of my pact and my movement away from the rift I should bring this orb to come to bear. And that is, I believe, where we left off. With the debt hanging over us, plans to perhaps loan our way out of that, and a test in my near future.
That's great and all, but it doesn't help the fact that we have a certain few people up on the stage that are staring us down right now.
Well, I mean, they can't expect us to have 7,000 gold on us in this moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, most, I mean, I'm assuming most purchases of this aren't actually made with liquid cash, but rather, well, people have to liquidate assets and other items of importance in order to be able to allocate, sufficient funding for such purchases.
Of
Or
course.
not. We'll
No, I mean, you know what they
just
say,
find
no
out.
sane, smart.
You know what? We'll just go find out. But, DM?
Yes.
Would we have time to go to the bank before we were sent to collect our winnings and pay our dues?
After walking up and speaking with the tender, you have found that you have 24 hours to retrieve to pay your dues, basically. 24 hours.
Perfect. Thank you so much. May I just say, you're looking radiant today.
Why, thank
Make
you.
an insight check on Brine.
Bride is trying to flatter and get out of this rather awkward conversation very quickly.
A thank you and a head nod dismisses you.
All right. To the bank we go.
Yes, to the bank, the place that has all the money.
So you
Especially
make your way.
Which makes up a lot of it because we have a lot of money.
You make your way to the banking institution of Nicodranus, which certainly does have a name.
BIN? It's
Sure.
the bin. It's the bin.
BIN. Making your way in through, you see a very squat building in comparison to some of those in the more richer parts of town, with offerings of holding funds, providing loans, all of the banking services that you might desire. How do you approach this? Are you asking for a loan? What terms of the loan are you thinking? What are you gonna put up as collateral? Like, not that I'm particularly worried and want to get into too terribly much detail, but it is good to know just in case something happens.
Chuckles nervously.
We have a rather large estate nominally donated to, uh, not donated to, but set aside for the purposes of study on the outskirts of Nicodranus that we could put up for collateral to the bank so that they could be the holdings of any future development that might have. It's a short-term loan meant to be paid off within the next few months, based off the earnings that we receive from the promissory note for the toll bridge. And basically, we're just saying we don't have the money right now. We have a business endeavor that we want to take this for. We can put up the house as collateral if the business venture goes south. We try and pay this off like that, and obviously we have about half the money available to us in liquid funds right now. So we could probably get together enough, even if we don't turn enough of a profit to turn around this loan.
Okay, so you're just for clarification, you're asking for a loan of 3,500.
No, I'm asking for a loan of. Well, what are we asking for a loan of?
Well,
Actually,
our
how
debt.
much money do we have?
Our debt is 3519.
That's our total debt.
That's our total debt.
3519.
Yeah. GP.
So if we ask for a debt of 4,000.
Okay, let me see here. I'm just kind of curious on how.
As Moonzic takes out his ledger and.
We're a legitimate business who runs an adventuring group both as security and for some of the adventurer contacts. We also have a shipping line that has performed profitably, and we're looking to expand our capabilities both as an adventuring party and as a business, as the Legati company.
Sure. Okay, we're gonna do it. Just because I don't want to think about this too terribly hard. You receive a loan from the bank after a bit of questioning and deliberation, and discussion with the Cobalt Soul as well. Verifying your estate with a few records, like how do you say it?
Checks and balances, records, and
Like people who are putting in a good word for you. References. There we go.
references.
References from some of the highest members of the Druidic Order and the Temple of Melora to those in just throughout the city that you've so far encountered. Even showing off your writ of your ability to be law bearers in back I believe in Port Damali. And with all of your evidence to show, you have been approved for a loan of 4,000 gold pieces. With full pockets, you go and retrieve your goods from the auction house. Now, this is very important. What do you do with the griffins?
Oh.
Clearly, we
I don't
ride
know. I
them.
didn't think we would get this far. And quite honestly, this was an impulse purchase on Brine's part.
No, look, clearly we ride them. The next thing we do is we give them to the toll bridge while we're not using them to work as effective security.
So the speaking of the toll bridge, it's not a bridge, by the way. It's just a road. It's not bridging over anything. Um,
Oh, it's like a toll booth.
Basically.
yeah, it's a toll road. That's how the roads work.
Do a
Uh,
little tolling.
Damn it.
yeah. Couple of things that I just kind of want to hash out just so I have an idea of how you guys were planning on going about um, the promissory note for the toll road. What
Yeah, what's up?
are you planning on staffing it?
Yeah, I had one. It was wonderful in the middle of D&D. Love you.
Um, that is a good question.
What was the question? Sorry, I missed
How
it.
do we plan
Staffing
on staffing the toll?
toll
But there are options.
Well, I don't have access to Simulacrum yet, so that's out of the picture.
Honestly, I think if we get like a small group of low-level mercenaries and just kit them out with
I
griffins.
mean, but if they're mercenaries, though, like, wouldn't they be less trustworthy than, people that aren't subserviently loyal to nothing but coin?
Okay,
There is
real
somebody.
talk. I'm just gonna pull back the curtain. That is a super heavy generalization. Mercenaries actually need to be trustworthy in a society in order to actually make money. Um, their contract has to be their bond. It's the same as any working force. The only time they're not reliable is when it's life and death, and you're a nation. Like, this is a toll bridge. We'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
we'll be
I
fine.
will say, there is somebody who may be able to point you in the right direction.
Hmm.
Um, and that somebody is so sorry, let me pull out
Would it be Dardak?
this. I mean, Dardak might be able to help you out. That's certainly like you could try, but I was more thinking of Thorian.
Oh, yeah. Either way, points back to Phelan.
Who, by the way, you do have connected sending stones to, Brian.
Yeah?
Right. I mean, yeah, if they're. I guess I could make a call. Didn't really
Can
think
call
about
in a
that.
few
I don't know
favors.
what's going on. Eh,
Just
use a
ring.
And a
sending
few.
stone.
Did you just ring? Hold on.
Ring, ring, ring,
Yeah,
ring,
You
yeah.
just
ring.
hear
Ring,
Brian say
ring.
the word ring. You just hear the word ring as Brian says the word ring.
No, it's the One Piece fucking oh, what are they called? The
Oh, the
transmitter
snail
snails.
telephones.
Butter, 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 butter. Butter, butter,
Butter,
butter, butter. Click.
butter, 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 butter. No, Brian says, um, "Hey, been a while.
Oh,
Don't
Brian.
know what the circumstances. Well, it's sending, right? So I have to say my
Yeah,
whole
oh yeah.
bit.
I mean, it's sending stones, aren't they?
No, it's just sending. It's just two-way sending that has, I think, more than one use. Double checking. Yeah, you can use an action to cast a sending spell from it.
Okay,
I mean,
go ahead, do your thing.
Um, don't know how the effort is going, but we have a project down here. If you or some of your members are free. Counting words is hard. That's not part of the spell.
I mean, if
Goddamn.
it's not in anything like super urgent, we can skip the
Yeah, I'm rather don't want to. I really. That's kind of. Let's just presume
Okay.
this is over the course of a couple of days, if necessary.
Okay. Are you, if you're able, we have an opportunity to staff a toll road and make some decent profit from it. Let me know.
He responds back, "Well, always a pleasure to hear from you, Brine. Things here in Phelan are progressing. We've seen a rise in petty thefts, which you would think anyway. And the vacuum of the loss of the Sylvia family is certainly felt. But all in all, things are going well and moving forward, if not a little slowly. I do have some friends in Nicodranus I could introduce you. And after reaching out to him, you are led to a trustworthy mercenary party that has offered to operate your toll road for you for a cut of the profits, of course.
Of course. Um, and then we'll give them access to the griffins while we're not using them so that they have a little bit more leverage and can patrol a wider area of the road to keep it safe from monster attacks and keep passengers safe. And also prevent
Yep.
them from, wanting to shirk the toll.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
exactly. We protect them from monsters and heavy coin purses alike. It's a totally legit business.
as they're all like, hell yeah, fucking griffins.
Yeah.
Wonderful. With that matter out of the way, Brine, you step through some heavy wooden doors of the testing room. The air feels charged with the anticipation of this moment. As you walk in a large circular chamber with arched windows and tall shelves filled with tomes that kind of line the curved walls, and of course, in the center of the room stands uh, a long mahogany table, behind which sits some panelists in a line waiting for your entrance. I have some. Haha. I have a mood board. There are 4 panelists of note, or jurors, if you must. You are passively familiar with them. So I'm gonna just describe them a little bit here. The 4 of note panelists are Professor Amara Drevon, a human woman, who's a little bit on the older side. She's got long silver tail, that's tied in a braid that falls over a shoulder. She's got thin glasses, and her eyes, they're piercing, like very analytical. Holding a scroll, she meets your eyes with what you feel is intense scrutiny. Almost as if she is already searching for any hint of weakness or deception. Then there is Master Thalen. Thalen is a half elf. He's got, shoulder length hair, very dark, brooding, almost. His expression is calm, and he holds himself in a way that, well, I guess I can describe it how I'm visualizing it. He sits slightly back in his chair. He's got his arms crossed, and he kind of raises very faintly an eyebrow as he watches you enter. Despite holding himself in a relaxed posture, you know that he is one of the smartest people in this room.
And that's saying something.
Yes. There is the High Curator, Alonda. She's one of those elegant types, with the kind of person that is destined to be in the upper echelon. She is a keeper, of course, being the High Curator of the library's some of the most hidden knowledge. She looks at you with a level of compassion. That
Would I know her? Would I have spoken to her before?
No, not personally, no. But you have seen her have conversations with your with Professor Nemorn. So she's a close personal friend of Nemorn.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's, again, have you shook hands and introduced yourself? No. But you have a familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is the Inquisitor Thales, excuse me. A severe, like, he's kind of got this like sharp look, very broad-shouldered, with short, dark, cropped hair, right? With a beard that's neatly trimmed, if you can imagine it. He kind of holds his jaw tight, in a very serious, stern manner. Of those here, everybody, all four of the main panelists they have a lot of weight behind their presence here. These are some of the highest ranking people that you have ever seen. There are those who are higher, but you don't get to see those people. And it is definitely intimidating. You can feel, like, if I can kind of keep going a little bit here, you can feel the weight of the experience and knowledge and the gravity of this test kind of settle around you. Like, it has like a physical press on you. There is gentle floating lights that dance all across the room, um, casting the panelists in a sort of in a shifting shadow. Uh, each of them carry that distant energy. Uh, that's not distant, different energy. Uh, and yeah. Okay. Sorry. Kind of stumbled over that one, but it's okay. So, beginning the test, you tell the panel all about the story of how you got to where you are. Are you deceiving in any sort of way?
Brine tells the truth. She knows better than to lie. She is also Brine. So she will not like she does with Bellwether, where she'll hide the bad stuff and tell the good
He
stuff.
embellishes.
No, not embellishing. And
Oh.
with Bellwether, right? She
Herbalife?
weaves a story of heroics, right? These people here, she knows not to weave a story of embellishing. Instead, she speaks the facts of the situation. She speaks heavily in she speaks heavily of the pact and of her story. She glosses over Phelan, saying that she helped out her friends there. But the focus of her story is always going to be on the implications of the deal with Uk'otoa. She puts a lot of time and effort into, the making of the pact, the ways the powers have helped save people. She puts time into the way that into the fears and the research she did into Uk'otoa after she was in the pact, right? While she tells the story, she makes sure the story is focused on her, the relationship that she's had to researching about her pact, what Uk'otoa has and has not gotten from her, and what Uk'otoa has done to her and asked of her. If it's not relating to that story, she will pursue it as the story of a journey, the story of the Legati company, but they asked for her story, and so it's very centered on her and her pact.
See?
Things like the Phelan experience, things where, we defeat a bandit camp are relatively unimportant to the story, and so they do not have emphasis placed on them, as they might in, say, a telling of the Legati company story. Fighting the dragon turtle is barely mentioned, for example. Right?
Mm-hmm. Do you talk about the Feywild?
I do.
In what ways?
I talk about finding the portal that goes back there. I talk about my reasonings for joining the academy. If I might speak a little bit as if I was Brine telling the story for a second. As many of you know as I'm sure all of you know, from my initial application to the academy, my connection to my family, my presence in the material plane, is connected to understanding. It is why you accepted me into your halls. I seek to understand the nature of this world and hopefully the nature of the Feywild so I might be wiser to protect myself from those who would abuse me in the Feywild. Here, it seems, I have found that the two planes are not so different in many ways. Yet, there are organizations as great as this one who provide understanding. With my pact, my first instinct was to head to a library of the Cobalt Soul, replace my cards and access, and research what I might be asked to do and what the implications were of my survival. When given the opportunity to head back to the Feywild, I stayed here to come back to the libraries, to come back to the Cobalt Soul. Yes, with my friends, who I feel incredibly indebted to for making this journey possible. And I wish to continue spending time with them and doing good with them and learning about the world with them. But they made it possible for me to be back here, where I can seek true understanding of the nature of my pact, how it might be broken to protect those around me. My goal is to return to the Feywild eventually, understanding myself and understanding how the world might work. I think in not going back when given the opportunity, I have learned something in knowing that I am not ready yet and that I have more to learn.
You see the High Curator pipe up and say, "Indeed, your journey has taken you far from the Feywild. And you say you do not believe that you have achieved your goal of understanding. At what point in time can you establish that you have indeed achieved your goal?"
I think when I have achieved that goal, it will be apparent to me then and not before. When I am in these halls learning, the value of knowledge is in the learning process that I have seen. If I prescribe a certain set of knowledges, I would have to already know much more than necessarily. Once I know what I need to know, then I will be ready. And before I know what I know, how could I? You see how this cycles? That
She can't do
bar.
it.
That bar is knowledge I do not hold myself. And so, like every member in these halls, I am a knowledge seeker. hoping to gain more, to add some small work of new knowledge to the collection, and to gain more from it than I gave. As any of us can hope.
Master Thalen speaks up. You have acquired both some knowledge and power through your pact with Ukatoa. How do you define the relationship between knowledge and power?
Ayun would say that knowledge is power in many ways. That if you know enough, might itself cannot touch you. And I think there is much truth to that. However, there is also a truth to power without knowledge. With Ukatoa, the fear I hold is that I do not know so much about that. The power given to me is unknown to me in so many ways. And I do not know the price of its use. I attempt to use it as I deem necessary and not abuse, and to understand that pact. The definition of knowledge and power is that knowledge can provide power, but power in and of itself cannot provide knowledge, as I have learned from this pact very well.
The High Curator pipes up again. It sounds as if you have seen the dangers. Sorry, I don't know what accent I use for. The dangers of power firsthand through your pact. Yet, you seem to seek to use your power, and knowledge for a greater good. What do you believe is your greatest moral responsibility as someone with such power?
Brine's going to take a long think. I do not think there is a greatest moral responsibility as such. We have a responsibility to ensure a lack of secrets, unless said secrets cause damage. In the same way, I speak to open the truth of matters about my pact to you. And yet, I did not share all of that with my party members for fear of hurting them. When I am put into a moral situation, I seek to protect those around me first. I protect my friends. I protect enemies where I can. In that, I hope that the preservation of life gives people the chance to gain more knowledge and change their ways. I look to preserve knowledge where it is. If even Ayun's axioms of open knowledge can be compromised for the good of people's lives and for the protection of further gaining of knowledge, so too I think Must my goals hold the preservation of life and the preservation of intellect to a higher degree than other morals that I also hold?
The professor speaks up. She says, "You speak of responsibility, but how responsible were you when you made a deal with a god you knew nothing about? How responsible are you now, still wielding his power, Brine?"
I think that question of when I was deep underwater, the question I was asked was life or death. My responsibility in that question was to weigh the good and the evil that might be committed in choosing life. Should I choose death? I choose a I choose nothing good. All the knowledge I had on my research journey, all the gains I had learned in your hallowed halls, all the ideas in my head, and the hopes and the dreams and the good I might do, all of that gone in fear of the unknown. Choosing life allowed all of that to stay. A chance for me to do more good with my life than evil. A risk, to be sure, but how can we gain more knowledge if we are so afraid of the unknown as to not venture into it? So I think I was responsible in taking the pact. And in wielding the power, I've come to you, to this hall, to my professors, to the people in which I trust to give me knowledge into these powers, so that I might ascertain what is responsible. You ask me my responsibilities. My responsibility is to learn. And here I am, attempting to learn that which, unfortunately, I cannot know without your approval. So here I am.
Somebody else pipes up and says, "Before you mentioned your moral compass, do you believe, really, that your moral compass can withstand the allure of the power that Ukatoa offers? And how can you be certain?"
I am here to be, to hopefully be granted audience to someone who can help me escape the more, and she'll show off her scar in this moment, coercive methods. Clearly, based off of what has happened to me, the temptation of power has not been enough to have me doing what Ukatoa so wishes.
Sure, Ukatoa saved your life, but at what cost? Have you considered that by accepting his power, you may already be complicit in his future plans?
Sure, I've considered it. To be held accountable to a court on whatever plans Ukatoa holds, however, seems a little bit immaterial to my choice then. I chose to live. As I said, that seems to be my only moral option, unless we are so pessimistic as to choose death over life. If that in and of itself is complicit in some evil plan, then I suppose I am complicit. I have not taken further action.
Your pact with Ukatoa may have been born out of desperation, but yet you continued to benefit from his power for far, far longer than it took you to travel here. Are you really trying to break free, or are you just enjoying the benefits?
Brian would get emotional here. Brian would get emotional here. Brian's eyes go a little black. Does this scar look like enjoyment to you? The benefits have been useful, yes. But enjoyable? No. The nightmares, the constant sound of his voice in his monosyllabic ways, and the constant feeling of eyes over my back, trying to grasp me backwards with force when I'm at my weakest, has not been enjoyable. My actions here are to understand what can be done, to continue my life. The power is useful. The deal is not enjoyable.
Despite the difficult circumstances, you've shown remarkable courage by seeking to break free of Ukatoa's influence now. What gives you the strength to continue fighting against his control?
Ironically, the same thing that put me in this situation. Hope. Always been something I've had. I believe in the best of people most often, and more often than not, they prove me right. I believe in the best in my circumstance. That I can come through this trial and know more and be better off for it. And that I can help my friends be better off for that. It's ironic in some ways that it's that same emotion that got me into this place. But perhaps that's why I'm able to stand here too.
I say, I understand. You have, in fact, formed a pact with an entity known for evil and destruction. How do you reconcile this decision with your own moral compass?
I refer to my earlier answer. Decision made in the pursuit of that moral compass. A weapon in someone's hand is not evil. I do not love the sword or the bow, but what they protect. In this case, I do not love my powers. I love only what they have allowed me to protect. I do not love the giver of them in this case. But I am grateful for the use that allowed me to protect those who needed it and to do good in the world. My answers to this point have all been, I feel, the same. I simply tried to do that which is best, and the nature of Ukatoa doesn't change the nature and how I've used the power.
Do you believe is the role of mortals in the will of gods? And how do you interpret your own role in Ukatoa's plans?
I prescribe no role to mortals in the role of gods. I cannot know what they represent. Beyond that, our belief in them gives them some degree of power, ascensions and such. My role to Ukatoa was likely designed to set him free. I have not pursued that end, much to his anger. I think in breaking this, I may be inviting further attacks on myself in other ways, but at the very least, he won't have direct access to me anymore.
You talk about wanting to break the pact, but isn't it convenient that you haven't tried harder to sever ties with Ukatoa? Are you afraid to lose your power?
If the knowledge of breaking pacts were so easy as to be trivial, I would have done so long ago. This organization, the Cobalt Soul, has taught me so much about researching difficult topics, such as the breaking of a pact. To go without a compass or a map in that search is folly. You ask why I haven't tried harder to break that pact. Because I wouldn't even know where to start.
If breaking the pact with Ukatoa comes at a great personal cost, would you still be willing to do it?
Yes.
How can you claim to value wisdom and responsibility and knowledge when your decisions thus far have put the world, the entire world, at risk?
I differ with the premise of that question. How have my actions thus far put the entire world at risk? Are the leviathans rising from the sea? Have I somehow removed parts of Ukatoa's cage? Have I unleashed unknown and unforetold knowledge upon Ukatoa that he could use to wrest our world from us? I don't think I have put our world in the kind of danger you describe.
How can you be sure that Ukatoa isn't influencing your thoughts and decisions even now?
Would anybody care to cast Detect Thoughts on me? If you're so concerned that my thoughts are being meddled, search in them yourself.
He kind of stiffens and leans back. When faced with a mortal dilemma, where the safety of others is weighted against the power that you see, your goal, your knowledge, your understanding, how do you make your choice?
The safety of others has always superseded free knowledge here at the Cobalt Soul. An inconvenient truth, to be sure, as all of us would rather hold knowledge freely as a bird. If I had to sacrifice others for the knowledge I seek, I would not do it. Sacrificing others would mean giving up some part of myself, I think. Some moral identity that I could not get back. I would rather live my days out here, heart of the soul, seeking more knowledge in a safer manner than to achieve my goal and go back home. Maybe one day my parents would even visit me, here in the material plane instead.
What would you do then, if the only way to save your friends or others meant betraying those values that you hold dear, meant releasing information that is dangerous to those individuals who wish to do harm with it? Your friends or your values?
In this case, I think your question is a veiled wording of the trolley problem. My friends, who I hold dear, are on one side of the track, and an unknowable number of people on the other side of the track. I have a card. Do I release the information that may doom many people to save the friends I know are on my track, and doom an untold number on the other? That number being anywhere between 0 and the world. It would depend on my knowledge. If the knowledge was relatively dangerous, but I could be sure of its lack of dangerous to a cataclysmic level, then perhaps I would share the information and save my friends, and then go to work to avoid the damage, to save as many people as possible in every circumstance. Were at cataclysmic knowledge, for example, the way to free Ukatoa, I don't think I could share that, even at the expense of my friends. Although such a decision, I'm sure, would break me, and I'm glad I do not face it today.
As you have mentioned, the wrong hands wielding dangerous knowledge can lead to catastrophe. Many of these tomes that you see around you depict that. How would you prevent misuse of the knowledge that you obtain?
I would acquit myself of acquit is the wrong word. I apologize. I would the word behave in such a way as to follow the rules put out from those who know the danger of the knowledge. That which is held here is secret for a reason, and I would follow the rules placed out to keep said knowledge from the hands of those who could do harm with it. I would use the knowledge that I required to help without divulging what that knowledge is, if I could. But all I can do is follow the wise decisions of the Cobalt Soul and pursue knowledge in the same way I always have. Learn, understand, recognize what dangers may be held, and if I need to prevent some disaster, use what I can without endangering others.
Have you ever been tempted to misuse the power and knowledge you've gained? If so, how did you resist?
We are all tempted to do things that are against what we know our better natures to do, of course. And resisting is like not to put too much flowery language on it, resisting is the nature of understanding. You don't simply go with every whim to do that, and we are mere beasts. Following the scent of honey or a carcass on the roadside. I resist by knowing who I am, and knowing what I care about, and knowing that misusing said knowledge, said power, to gain things through contemptible means would run afoul of what I believe of myself, would harm me and harm others in ways I cannot agree to.
As I'm sure that you are perfectly aware, as it's been the main part of this discussion today, what do you hope to gain with an audience, from an audience with IO? And how do you plan on using this to escape the manipulations of Ukatoa?
I hope Ion can offer me a pathway to breaking the connection between me and Ukatoa. I recognize the abject loss of power that might cost me. I'm hoping that in my audience, she might see fit to bestow upon me knowledge that in breaking that could also help me be useful to her and her organization, the Cobalt Soul. If that knowledge provided me power, so be it. If that knowledge provided me to sit in a chair and read the entire library from top to bottom in search of obscure phrases in Elvish, I would do it. If that option was to break my pact and leave here, I would do that also, although that would break my heart.
What if, despite your best efforts, Ukatoa's influence on you cannot be broken, and you're forced to serve him for eternity? How do you plan to live with that?
I plan to do what good I can, as I've described across the many questions. I plan on following through on whatever Ayun suggests of me. And I plan on completing things that will both work against Ukatoa whenever I'm able, and doing as much good with my life as I can before I am inevitably placed in such a situation as I am face to face with my original offer, life or death. And when I know that that offer, life or death, can only be viewed in the pessimistic view that we originally foretold. Then, at least as I am now, despite my enduring hope, I'd like to believe that I would be wise enough to choose the right choice.
The professor, Amara, speaks up and says, looking around at the other people on the panel, can we really allow someone with questionable judgment at best and a history of poor decisions to commune with Ayun? It would be a disgrace when she inevitably becomes a threat to us, more than she is now.
Brine is going to speak up. I'm sorry, Professor. What was your question to me?
With Ukatoa's influence growing over you, what's to stop you from becoming a danger to us all? And how do we know that you won't betray the Cobalt Soul and the will of Ayun herself?
Brine is going to look to each of the other professors, purposely avoiding eye contact with this professor. To each of you willing to hear my case, all I can ask is that you look at what I have done so far. You look at what it has cost me on my body, and ask yourselves what my actions show you. I cannot prove my intentions, nor my future intentions, for I am not who I might become. Not yet. Nor, what was the name of the professor who asked me?
Amara, Professor Amara.
Nor may Professor Amara know who she shall be in 3 years' time. Whether she shall learn some new piece of knowledge that changes her views of everything for its groundbreaking presence. Can I not know myself in the future? I can only know myself now, and you can only know what I have done. So that is what I ask to be judged on, not some unknowable concept of what may happen in the future. Purposely talking to everybody but Amara.
Master Thalen says, let's say you gain an audience with Ayun. Or even gaining knowledge that you may continuing to adventure with the Legati Company. How do you determine which knowledge should be shared with others and which should be kept hidden?
I report the knowledge I learn. Firstly, to the Cobalt Soul. Here we evaluate many things of importance. In our research, I have reported 4 or 5 things already that may cause damage. I even flagged quite recently the possibility that pinprick theory and portal dynamics such as that may actually be more of a threat to planes crashing into each other than we once thought, simply due to a frequency in certain types of portals. That knowledge was taken in by the Cobalt Soul. I learned it by asking questions, by speaking with those outside the Cobalt Soul, and researching with them. I will share knowledge to gain more knowledge from those who have proven to be pursuers of knowledge in a like mind. And I will hold dangerous knowledge away from those who would misuse it, simply by making sure that anything that could harm others is weighed very carefully before it escapes my lips. And each time I come across that which I believe may be dangerous, even if quite slight, I will make sure it reaches the ears of the Cobalt Souls first, so that if I underestimate its danger, I am notified before it goes into the wrong hands. Checks and balances, as it were.
I just have one more question for you. You have many challenges ahead. No matter what the results of this test may be, you have an opportunity to prove yourself as someone worthy of great knowledge and making good decisions. Not just for yourself, but for others too. What do you plan to do with this opportunity from here on out that you have to demonstrate your potential?
I plan to learn. And if, as was described, I have the power to continue adventuring. I plan to help. I plan to explore. I plan to live. And I plan to make mistakes every once in a while and to learn from those too. And I plan to rectify my mistakes if and when they happen. And I plan to be a member of the Cobalt Soul that the Cobalt Soul can be proud to call its own.
Any final words or thoughts you would like to share with this panel?
I know that the circumstances of my return are not what any of us would have imagined, and I know that this test was called in exceptional circumstances due to my pact. Before us is a question both of my ability to be given access to the knowledge in the halls, but also a question of danger. Unspoken, I think, in all of this is the fact that this is a plea from me, a plea for help, as I have been attacked by Ukadora. To me, this is not simply a test of my morals and my knowledge, but me pleading for the chance to escape, or to at least have the best chance of escape from Ukadora. Whatever danger I might be in your halls, there is a danger of I might be outside of them as well. And I ask that if you truly believe that I am a danger, which I hope you do not, you weigh where you'd prefer me to be. And she directs this one almost entirely at the hostile one. Sorry, I'm blanking on the name.
That's okay. They're new people. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Basically, that last bit is just entirely targeted there.
We have some deliberation to do.
Of course.
You may be dismissed, and we will reach out at the soonest convenience. And as you turn around, you see high in the in the highest window of this rounded room, behind you, who was previously looking out at your back, right? As you turn around, you see the stained glass depiction of Ayun eyes, all three of them, staring at you as you make your way out of the testing hall. On the other side of the door, Professor Namorn stands, crossed-armed, waiting.
Did you hear it from the other side of the door?
No. That is not the kind of thing you can eavesdrop into. How did it go?
I think 3 of them liked me by the end. The last one, I don't know. I could have convinced him, even if I were an aspect of Ioun sent down here in the flesh.
Well, no matter what, Brine, I am proud of you. I remember going up in front of a very similar panel myself. They can be intense sometimes. Let us go. I believe the others of the historians are waiting for you. Drinks in hand. I shall accompany you.
Thank you. Although, I'm not really sure I could eat or drink a bite. I have a pit in the base of my stomach that won't seem to let out.
Nothing a bit of food and drink can't fill. They give you a bit of a sly smile, and knowing that quite possibly a little bit of social and a bit of a break can make all of the difference. As you go off. Now, while that is happening, over on Firewash Island.
Ooh, Firewatch.
Yeah, over on Firewash Island. Tucked away into a small corner of Firewatch. Edward is nestled in between stacks of books and writing implements, and somehow the room is meticulously kept and also in complete disarray. Tell me, Rocky, Edward has been delving deep into the canon of changes. How is he feeling? Hopeful, anxious, obsessed as he delves into these books?
So Edward had always been, as typical wizardry fashion, always been a sucker for a good tome. Back, during his childhood, it was those things where, like, it would be a household taboo to have Edward get a hold of rare, expensive tomes that the Snowgales would regularly, check in from, like, libraries, given that they had some sort of financial leverage over, like, certain institutions that would have exclusive access to these tomes. Obviously, like, these institutions would very much bar, like, children handling, like, improperly handling these tomes. It would, and obviously, like, the parents, right, the Snowgales would be very prudent about, taking care of the tomes and making sure that they would be kept out of, reach perpetually. So he has lived mostly in his entire childhood, really learning secondhand information from random, like, notes and, like, ramblings that Bernard would, get, that Bernard would get when, he would stay up randomly discussing about, like, these previous rare books. So for Edward, it's always been sort of like a it's always been like a sort of a carrot on a stick situation for him, where he would never really quite get his hands on like magical grimoires and tomes. And like he got one already, and he adores it. You could tell he like takes good care of it, right? um right, but like like the fact that he's able to get one that isn't actually just a spell book, right? But like an actual like tome that contains unique powers, right? Exclusively bound towards whatever the book is about in itself is an enticing experience to him. And with this experience, he's savoring it in a way that allows for him he's savoring it in a way like similar to like a kid who's always fantasized about driving a car finally getting his keys for his 16th birthday, right? It's an exciting experience for him, and he's like and to him it's like it means this entire book changes the entirety of how he understands physical matter as it stands, and then to the rest of the island it's just him sitting in his room for hours on end with his nose buried into a book, coming down like periodically in timed intervals, not by himself, but having a mage hand come down periodically, or having like an unseen servant periodically come down to like carry plates of food back upstairs to his little.
So is it
like,
to believe that you've
room.
literally shut yourself in your room for days on end?
Yes.
Oh my god.
The canon of changes is as you've mentioned, is a more advanced and abstract work than what you have previously encountered. This is a heavy and dense tome, frequently discussing things in multiple languages, requiring translation to even begin to understand. The text is both cryptic and requires a level of theoretical that a lot of textbooks, which you have been used to, normally don't require. The books discuss what it deems as a quote a oneness, a cosmic principle of sorts that binds matter and energy and everything we experience together.
It's as
The
if
book
matter
elaborates.
and energy were actually equivalent.
Yeah. I do have a little bit of, how does one say, a quote from the passage. I'll just read a quote that I wrote out previously. The stone and the tree are but mere reflections of the same eternal substance. To see one is to understand the other, and thus with understanding comes change. And this cyclical nature of the book, when fully decoded, is certainly common. Whether that be in its discussion of transmutation, where it talks about how transmuting is not destroying, but releasing a hidden form within all things, right? you have some notes written down about diamonds and coal and, gold and lead, right? And things of that nature. Go ahead.
Is an onion in which change peels back
Oh,
to get
God.
crown final.
Rocky,
Oh, God.
All that prize.
Rocky,
Some
just
result
stop.
Rocky, stop for a second. Can you reset your mic, please?
Oh, sorry.
Now it's working.
Here, let me. My bad. Oh,
That's okay.
I was just going on about random reality in which reality in itself is an onion, in which carved back into its purest bulb form, peeled back into perfection.
One might say it has layers.
Somehow in its final shape, it had been carved absent of its parts, yet somehow the sum and the result of which the parts it was composed of became. You could see like there were several pages and excerpts just going on about this and addendums and whatnot on like another notebook scrawled into the side.
Hog onion theory.
Onion theory. Reality is an onion.
Reality is an onion. The
I
other
hate
quote
this.
that I wrote out. There are there's a large section of the book details some ethical implications of transmutation. The text discusses how in altering matter you can alter natural balances, leading to many unattended consequences, especially when it's used carelessly or for selfish purposes. The quote I have is, "To reshape the world is a power not meant for the weak of will. The hand that molds must also know when to cease, lest the balance be undone." It's very poetic. I'm proud of it. So please keep that in mind. Please.
Am I going to have to roll a D100 every time I use this book to see if it tears a hole in reality?
No, I roll a D100.
Same difference.
With I don't know, with Emily's rolls?
Right at this exact moment back in Nicodranus. In conclusion, I would never share dangerous information. What was that? Oh, just my friend Edward. He would.
Reality is an onion theory.
God damn it.
Stop
Now,
stop stabbing the onion with pinpricks. It's all coming together now.
so I'm suddenly nervous. Question. I know we had briefly discussed it, but then I felt nervous.
Mm-hmm.
There are two ways that you can gain this information. I can either give you a riddle, only one. It's nothing like crazy.
Okay.
I can give you a riddle, a hard riddle. Or we can roll for a couple of things. 3 things exactly. So we can either roleplay it as if the text gives you a riddle, and in finding the understanding of the true nature of transmutation and
Okay.
creation.
Let me see
Or
what the spirits have to say. I think the spirits want me to like answer a riddle.
Okay. What walks between fire and stone, never burning, never warm?
What walks between fire and stone, never burning, never warm?
Worn with a W and an N.
Walks between. Give me a second. I have to write this down because this is gonna haunt me in my sleep.
Oh, I forgot to move you guys over to my mood board.
Why? Why? Fucking damn it! Oh, you are a monster!
What?
The mood board.
What the hell is
Hey!
this?
Hey!
What just
Why did you sneak that one in there?
God damn it!
I'm so confused. What's going on?
Look at the
Oh,
mood
the
board.
I don't get it. It's just a bunch of books.
Look at the bottom left corner. And then directly to the right of that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I see it now. I see. I didn't zoom out enough.
Emily, you're a complete troll.
Oh.
We're talking about ethics and transmutation, and it has Edward in it. If you were in my position,
Come on, it was
that
the
would
perfect
be
joke.
picture.
Yeah. You know what?
It
Just
was the
because you're
perfect
right
joke.
doesn't make me happy about having to remember that.
That's how I feel about it.
Walks between fire and stone, never burning, never worn.
As
Rest in peace,
Edward.
Warm or warn? Like
I
is it
actually-
warm like lukewarm?
W-O-R-N.
I
N,
also
not M.
Okay.
it's a toughie. It's a tough one. It's a very tough one.
No
So-
internet or
Like,
Google allowed.
How?
No shit.
I don't think she would even make it if she wouldn't say it would be tough if she didn't just search it up on Google.
Oh, of
I
course.
did-
I'm sure she
but
like.
I have to
Yeah.
state
Sure,
the
she probably
obvious.
got like inspiration.
I have to.
I did a cursory Google search and I could not find it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't think she would
Nice.
have made it off of like like sure she could have taken
and I want-
inspiration from like
So,
third-party
like,
sources,
here's
but I'm
the
not gonna be
thing.
able to trace them.
There are things
Yes.
between fire and stone that are never burning and never worn.
I feel like it's
But
like
the
something like a
waft
pot. right?
imagery is really
Like I'm
important.
thinking like a pot or a cauldron, right?
No, I don't like that.
While
Pots can be worn.
Edward delves deep into his studies, trying to unravel the mysteries of this book, we are going to take a short break and then come back to spend a little bit of time with Moonzic.
Yay.
Hey.
So, let's take a 15-minute break, and we can all get here at 20 till, a little bit after.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right.
Not 20 till, excuse me, 15 till. Let's do 15 till.
That works. Quarter two.
All right. Sounds good.
Hmm. I'm trying to figure out what Emily's thing is.
I will
Rocky?
say it has a lot to do with transmutation.
That's fair.
Yes.
I'm just going to start throwing out ideas that jump out to me that are
Something
probably
Philosopher's Stone.
no, that are probably inaccurate, right?
Yeah.
What walks between fire and stone, never burning, never worn? The walks imagery feels important to me because I can think of things between fire and stone that never burn and never wear down, right?
Like a cauldron, for example.
Right, but the walks imagery is interesting. This makes me think of like coals and stuff, which both burn and wear down, but fire walking is a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's the walking imagery that kind of jumps out to me about this.
I mean, yeah. Feel like the never worn can be. I don't know if this is like a double meaning or if this is just like supposed to be like one thing that wasn't intended. But worn has multiple meanings, right? Where
Yeah.
like worn can mean like not to like to not be damaged over time,
Can
or
also
never
be-
worn like literally not to be donned by something,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like either double meaning that's
Dawn?
really clever, or if it's just like, okay, I'm looking too much into this and this is actively sabotaging
Yeah,
like
yeah.
me
I'm also really concerned about actively sabotaging with the walks imagery, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the walks imagery a bit less so, but like, same thing with Warren.
Yeah.
But like I feel
All
like
right,
it's
I'm getting more
something
pizza.
I mean, like I'm assuming it's something related to like something related to heat and like stone fire. I feel like it could be like a glass beaker, right? But like not really. No.
Make as many as I want is what you mean. I also, Emily, if you're still here, I wanted to say how much I loved that.
Did I ask good questions?
You did. I
I
really liked how I could feel people's feelings towards me based off the questions they were asking. Like I got some really softball, positively worded ones from a couple of them. I got some very fair questions that were like worded, and then questions that were almost designed to trap me by interacting with. Honestly, it was just so wonderful, you know.
I'm glad that you enjoyed.
I mean, it could be glass,
Ooh,
but that's not transmutation related, is it? I mean, it's like vaguely alchemically related. Glass is like a good answer, but I don't think it's the right answer, you know?
I mean, iron and stone. Early transmutation theories make me think of earth, wind, fire, and water.
You know you're onto something.
Air can burn.
Never worn. You know what? It could just be air. You're
But
right.
water can't.
I mean, water can't. Air can burn. Water
air
can't.
can burn. Water can't.
Well, yeah, air is required to burn things.
I'm back.
Water physically
I
does
mean,
not burn.
water technically could burn, for the record, but
Okay, yeah,
it's much harder to.
Yeah, okay.
And in the
Yeah, okay.
context of this
Pretend
kind of riddle,
for a hot minute, pretend that like Ice 7 doesn't exist.
yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Water kind of fits the bill in a lot of ways.
I feel like, yeah, water does fit the bill.
How does it walk? I'm sorry if I missed that part of it, but how does it walk? I suppose like
Yeah. It trickles, it streams. There's no walking imagery for water. Which is weird, because most things that move actually do get walking imagery attached to them.
right.
Most things.
Like, even...
I've heard of running water, but not walking water.
Yeah,
It does run. It does run.
It does run.
But specifically the riddle says walks.
Again, I did get caught up in walking imagery as well. And
yeah,
one of my questions is how important is that imagery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't know if the answer to this question has an aha moment to it. Is the thing. It might. If the answer was water, though, it would not have that aha moment that make riddles so satisfying.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, it's like one of those things where we can also just like throw out a bunch of guesses that are like not quite aha moments, but are like, these are pretty good, and I would be satisfied if they were the answer, even though it's probably not the answer. Right?
Yeah, but...
Yeah, like water fits the bill, glass fits the bill, like, you know.
I don't think glass fits the bill. I genuinely don't.
I don't see glass.
Iron stone?
Glass wears down.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking of it worn, like, in the other sense, like, nobody can wear glass, right?
Yeah, but it needs to be true in both ways.
Yeah. Not necessarily.
No, never worn. I can't wear it, and it can't be worn down.
Can't be worn
And I
down,
feel
and
like
also you can't
glass,
wear.
and I feel like glass actually betrays both those points.
Technically,
Yeah,
water.
glass is.
Technically, water can be
Yeah,
worn
that
down
is.
as well. It converts from liquid to air by
That's
steam.
not worn down, though. That just turns into water, but
I
like
guess so,
air
yeah.
water.
That is just movement.
I mean, in that case, what is wearing down glass then just from going from solid to liquid?
Cold.
Although, no, never mind. I see the wisdom and everything. I'm thinking just fire or stone. Yeah, I'm not great with riddles.
Yeah, me neither. But I do like seeing like riddles and then seeing the answers to them, and then be like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool." The answer was the letter E this entire time.
The answer was cranberry.
The answer was cranberries.
I do want to just put this as a note. It doesn't mean anything one way or the other or anything at all. Just please keep in mind that I am a person.
Hello, fellow.
And my
Did you
logic,
come up with this?
She
yeah.
did, probably.
Oh, nice.
Probably. Yeah, most likely.
What do you...
like, please, please understand that logic is infallible. I will be honest, and
Wait, no, it means logic is fallible.
I absolutely fucking hope and I pray that you don't do this, right? But I did
So you
use
don't want me to do this, right?
ChatGPT to help me find the answer.
What?
So
What?
Meh.
I understand. What I mean is there are a series of answers to this riddle that if you were to put into ChatGPT, that they can develop an answer for you. So please don't use ChatGPT.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't going to.
We're not
but, like,
going to do anything but
the
our
fact
mental
that
ability.
That my logic is not perfect, right? And I did get help, but like not that much help. It's not like a established thing.
yeah,
If
but
that makes sense.
it's more like you punched
It makes
this
sense
riddle
to me.
into an AI, and then you got the AI to spit out like a whole bunch of different answers, and then you would just accept any one of those answers that the AI spits out, right? I'm assuming that's how that works.
Basically. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't want to like. I'm just trying to
mean,
like.
it's kind of
I
awkward.
understand that there's a lot of like the kind of the way that Kayla was talking kind of made me think that he looked at this much more intensely with a higher
I
amount.
genuinely was assuming you got it from the books of riddles and traps from that I know you have.
No, you
Yeah,
own
but I
that.
know you've read it. I know you've read it.
I have glanced through it. I could not remember riddles from that book if I wanted
Oh,
to.
okay. I was actually purposely not
Answer
looking
was
through
the
that
letter
book
E.
to make sure that I wasn't. But if you're already
Just like keep
if
in
you're saying
mind,
that's not it,
I'm not like definitely keep thinking. You guys are thinking of some really interesting and fantastic stuff, and I want you to keep on that
I
train
mean,
of
come on, we
thought.
can't let a bunch of like bots beat us in like
yeah,
human
exactly.
riddle puzzles. Come on, I
Yeah.
refuse to submit to the bots. Come on,
We'll figure this
I
out.
get destroyed by bots enough in Team Fortress 2 lobbies. I don't need more bots ruining my life here. I refuse to submit.
Fair enough.
Before we begin,
I get enough bots in my
Cameron?
answering in my voicemail.
I just want to say, before we start as well, good job. I just want to say, great acting by everybody so far tonight. It's been really fun to listen.
Yeah, that was really good acting on like Kale and Emily's part, going back and forth, basically debating the morality of being a warlock.
That
It was fun.
was really deep. But yeah.
No, that was really fathomless, Cameron. Get it right.
Oh.
Cameron, I was gonna talk to you about this earlier, but then I had to go because whatever. But is there a way that I can talk to you that
Other people can't hear? Yes, I can mute myself on OBS. And I can take out my webcam as well.
and also I can sorry, I was just reading messages that people have sent me. I can also deafen Rocky and Kale.
Yeah, that all works.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
So
I'm going to. Are we continuing
What,
now,
I'm
or
not
are we
settling for
talking?
picking whatever answer.
We have to
Cap-
mute them too. Apparently.
yeah, I'm muting them.
Is this before we get back into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Let me mute myself.
So we had previously discussed one of the benefits that you would get from volunteering medically around town and interacting with people, especially when returning like family heirlooms and trinkets and on that journey, and kind of like connecting more with individuals. We had discussed that you would gain a benefit from that. What was that benefit? Yes. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to be like I remember that we had talked about it, but I couldn't remember the wording, and I'm like, I want to make sure that like that your section fits thematically with what we had previously discussed. Um, during your time, is there anything else, like anything particular? I know that you have like a list of things that you like to accomplish, blah 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 blah. Like I understand that, but yeah, I'm not even gonna worry about that. Uh, you will have a conversation with Ty today. Is there anything that I should know in advance regarding? It's been a long time, so I would like to just take a second to talk about your relationship with Ty again. Okay. And yeah, please go ahead. And remind me, in the past, you have communicated with Ty via how? It wasn't a letter. You guys were able to talk to each other, I believe. I just wanted to make sure that, like, if you happen to knew exactly what that was, I would have liked it, because it's really hard to go back and I looked for that episode. I couldn't find what episode that conversation with Ty was in, without going back micro listening. You know what I mean? Uh, okay. It's just gonna be like mental communication. I'm not gonna think about it too hard if you don't think about it too hard. Yeah, like I'm not super duper worried about that. They're an organization of sorts. They've got power. So okay, that's all. That I just wanted to clear that up as we went into your little session. Yeah, let me undeafen them. Undeafening. Thank you guys for
And
your
back their listening power. Hello, audience. I'm still alive.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry to deafen you for a bit, but
I mean, I thought of another answer potentially to the riddle. Shadow.
Ooh.
Like, you know, from Plato's allegory of the cave, how there's a shadow casting, like there's a fire casting a shadow against a stone wall, right? The entire premise
I
of like
love
is
that.
to like change your worldview about this. So, you know, Plato's allegory of the cave,
Ooh.
right? It's literally between the fire and the stone, right?
And it walks.
with
Shadow.
And
Shadow
it literally
trail.
walks in the allegory of the cave. It is like
and with that,
it is the best answer I could come up with.
and with
so
that,
far.
we are going to get
So
back
far.
into things.
Asterisks. I think Shadow is a really good one.
Okay,
as like
Rocky!
a philosophy nerd.
Rocky!
Has nothing to do with
Rocky!
it, but you know.
Yeah, we know.
Okay.
Hmm?
So to get back into things and start right back into the
Someone
thick
said
of it.
something.
Can you hear me,
Yes.
Yes.
Rocky?
I mean, is Emily even listening?
Rocky, can you hear me?
Rocky, can you hear Emily?
Rocky?
Rocky?
Yeah.
Can you hear Emily?
No.
Emily?
Why do you have me muted?
Why do you have
Do I
Emily
have to
muted?
leave and come back?
No, you have
I
Emily
don't have to.
specifically muted.
Who, me?
Yes, you!
Why do I have it? I didn't mute her. She's on max volume.
The fuck?
Just double check. Because
Well,
you can't
I
hear
promise
her
you
and you're the only person.
I promise you she's on max volume. I'll leave and
That might work, honestly.
It's not gonna work.
hello?
Okay, now it's working. There
Told
we go.
you.
Okay.
I have no idea what was happening. Like,
Discord! Infallible Discord, everybody! We all love Discord!
Infallible. Anyway,
Okay.
so as I was saying,
I could hear you the whole time.
Okay, yeah,
I could
Rocky,
hear you.
Rocky,
Yeah.
we heard the whole thing. She heard the whole
We
thing.
heard that.
She heard the
I'm
whole
gonna say
thing.
it
We're good.
just for good measure. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Is that better than whatever ChatGPT gave you?
On the other side, of on the other side of the city from the Cobalt Soul. Well, not too terribly far, but definitely a different district. Moonzic is currently knocking on a door of a family that he suspects may be actually he doesn't suspect, he knows was a previous owner of the object that he currently is holding in his hands. Moonzic, what is this little trinket in your hands?
The first thing I can think of is a little, I'm gonna say it's a little glass, finch with, with some gemstones as eyes. And it's very intricately colored glass. I'm gonna say that it depicts a cardinal.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You knock on the door of the Velithar household. Having referenced this object with the Velithar house and family name via the records that Annalbaith had so diligently kept, it takes a long time for the person Eldrinor Velithar. Yeah,
that's a great name.
Eldrinor. Eldrinor takes a very long time to open the door. You almost give up and turn around to come back a different day. And as the door cracks open, there is a terrible sick smell in the air. One that you distinctly recognize as an illness. What illness does it sound like? Smell like, Moonzic?
Of all the medical afflictions I could have been thinking of, I was instead choosing to think of a glass bird. I'm trying to think of some kind of, like, gastrointestinal affliction that can result in some really horrid diarrhea.
Gut rot.
Sure.
You know it right away. You know it. That is certain gut rot. Which is, you immediately know happens when in poor sanitation conditions, usually that of contaminated food, particularly meat and the like. So, immediately recognizing this tent, a very sickly person opens the door and looks to be holding their hand up against the wall, like sweat dripping down their face, holding their hand up against, they're holding a cloth over their face that they sometimes use to wipe the sweat off their brow. And they say, "How can I help you?"
Eldrinor Velithar?
Yes, that's me.
My name is Chim Liam. I've come to you today to return something that we've found on our latest quest. We recovered some lost relics and trinkets belonging to various families from an archdemon named Anobaith. And one of them, after cross-referencing through records, we were able to retrieve and bring back to you this glass cardinal with the gemstone eyes.
Eldrinor grabs it in their hands, and you can see they begin to lean and press their back up against the wall, slide down. Partially from exhaustion and shock at seeing such an old family heirloom. They begin to cry. You can see that as they cry, they are clearly like in physical distress.
What does Eldrinor identify as?
Does it matter?
I suppose not.
I mean, I don't know. Eldrinor is essentially,
Just for
an older, like just on the edge of middle age, like really up there.
okay.
And is a male.
Okay.
Sure.
Excuse me, good sir, are you okay?
He kind of takes like a ragged breath. Says you. I afraid not. I believe I'm dying.
Dying?
I mean like coughs and sobs.
Here, let me help you. Let's get you up and let's get you to somewhere where you can rest. Perhaps your bed.
You help him to enter the house and begin to get him situated, and he explains to you that.
Just a second, Emily. You're fading in and out.
Oh, how about now?
That's better.
Ever since wife died many moons ago.
You're still fading in and out, actually.
You're doing it, yeah. You can't just speak louder and go, how about now? And then continue speaking in the exact same way.
This is a difficult position for me, so I apologize. Because I'm face in my computer. But he explains that many moons ago, just after his wife had died, his son, just a mere 14 years of age, had ran away. Mostly, he believes, due to his own unstable nature and grief over the loss of his wife. And ever since his son has ran away all those years ago, he progressively will get sicker and sicker, until he atones for his sins and his lack of manliness.
Um,
Is what he thinks.
Moonzic helps him to his bed, and whether he gets under the covers or not is up to him. But as he kind of lays comfortably, Moonzic will take the bird and set it on a nearby table to make sure that it's safe. And he'll sit down at the foot of his bed and he'll say, Well, let's maybe talk about your wife for a moment. What did she do before she passed?"
She was a craftswoman.
Okay.
She made that very bird you brought me today.
She has quite a beautiful work about her.
Glancing around like the house so far from what you've seen, you can see that this house is one that used to be in a good condition and used to be a not the nicest house in the world, but quite a nice house, a homely home. But you can see like many years of grief, if that makes sense. Cold corners, unkept areas, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Grief tends to stick to things.
Did she do a lot of her work here at home?
He does. He nods his head and agrees. Yes.
Did she also... May I ask, did she do a lot of the cleaning and cook work around the house as well?
She was amazing in that way.
There was another question I wanted to ask before the next one, but if I remember it, I'll come back to it. In your mourning for her, have you... I know grief is a terrible thing, but have you been able to clean around the house at all since your wife's passing?
He shamefully, in his poor state, says, "No, I haven't. Not much at all."
Tell me, what are the symptoms that you're having? You said you've been getting sicker.
So he describes that there are random, he feels, not random, he associates them with the need for atonement, right? But there are periods in his life where he will get very sick and then will get better and then get very sick again. And this time he is sick enough and old enough where he believes that this will be the death of him this time, because he has tried atoning, and with seeing his wife's craftsmanship once again has brought that to light, if that makes sense. Is that this is his time.
Well, what if I were to say that your need for atonement may not necessarily be the problem here? What if, like, everything you have done for... I don't believe you've had any sins to atone for. And everyone...
Mostly mundane sins.
And grief takes forms in in all shapes and sizes for every single person. And for a loved one as close as your wife must have been, it is entirely possible that we do not get past such grief. But that, in and of itself, I don't believe is what's causing your ailment here. It is very possible that truly what you might need is maybe a little bit of rest for yourself and maybe some help with cleaning around the house. Cleaning up your kitchen area, cleaning up where you do your daily toilet routines. It's freshening up and cleaning all the surfaces. You might feel that in a couple of weeks' time you'll be as close as close to new as you might have felt in a very long time.
And with that, we close that scene and are standing in front of another house, with a different trinket in hand and a different name on your lips. And you find yourself once again in a position to help the people in front of you. This time, you encountered a woman with a ton of kids, trying the best that she can to move furniture around the house, but her back hurts and she's the kids just won't leave her alone, and she's struggling and seems overwhelmed when you opened the door, and you spend some of your time helping her out, doing the heavy lifting or entertaining the children for a little bit so that she can take a nap, right?
Yeah.
Things along those lines. And the scene of knocking on doors, returning these trinkets, has really shown to you that there are a lot of people who are very negatively affected by the presence of Annalbeth, and sometimes not, but still needing help. And you begin to look for other ways that you can help these folks. Your experience with Eldrinor has really showed that there's a lot of just lack of information about basic medical care. And so you, along with help from the Wildwood Order, in fact, the Temple of Melora, work your way as a sort of moving body. That's not quite the right word for it. Helping out these key districts, and you get yourself more and more involved over the course of the next few months, not only in reaching out to those who are victims of Annalbeth that you can track the name and return the trinkets, but also doing general advocacy work.
There you go. The advocate.
Are there, during your time going around the city? Oh my gosh! I totally forgot. I actually have a board for you too.
Yay! That doesn't have Nina Tucker Nina Tucker on
No.
it.
I had a really hard time finding
Edward.
Mood board pictures for you, by the way. Oh, and I also forgot to do this.
Honestly, this works pretty well, though, with having to go to the different corners of Nicodranus.
Yeah. Anywho, all of that. What are some key moments that you remember, stories that stuck out to you as you spent many weeks volunteering and advocating for healthcare?
I think I can think of two right off the top of my head. One of them will be when we're visiting a kind of like the mother's care home. We came to another sort of nursing home, if you will. Just as a wellness check, and just things are overwhelming there, as like maybe the staff ratio is disproportionate, or maybe they're getting low on medical supplies. We're able to jump in and give a helping hand with a little bit extra supplies and maybe a little extra help to get them back on their feet again, to get the health of the people they're taking care of back to an optimal place to where they can take over again. And just being able to, even if it's not direct medical care, just being able to clean things or cook some meals, or maybe giving them a new herbal combination to try that might relieve some anxiety, or might help to alleviate pain, or maybe might help one of the residents get a good night's sleep. Things along that line. And as for the other story, we'll say that there might have been an accident near one of the gates, as maybe a wagon was coming into town and something happened where an axle broke while they were going full tilt, and a lot of people got hurt, and they were rushed to the Wildwood Order. And we maybe Moonzic hadn't known a whole lot about surgery, albeit even let alone like quick surgeries. So maybe through the Wildwood Order's understanding and practice and knowledge, they were able to teach Moonzic in that way of having to treat on the spot and very quickly with various herbs and specific ways to use bandaging, etc., etc.
They say that experience is the best teacher, and that is true in your case. Spending this time with these people in need, and with the Wildwood Order and other medical folks around, you have found yourself to be a fairly competent medic in very tough situations. Now, would you go out and willingly perform an amputation? Hell no. You're not a doctor. But in spending time with those in need, you have gained the combat medic feat.
Yay!
And with that, so that others know what that means.
Do you want me to read that out? I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have it typed up in my character sheet already, because we had discussed this previously. When you use a healer's kit, it's an adapted version of the healer's feat. When you use a healer's kit to stabilize a dying creature, that creature also regains 1 HP. As an action, you can spend one of a healer's kit to tend to a creature and restore 1d6 plus 4 HP. plus additional HP equal to the creature's maximum number of hit dice. You have 3 uses of this feat per short or long rest, but it can be used multiple times on a single creature.
It's pretty big.
Instead of having only 1 use per 1 creature per long rest, now I can use a short rest, and I can, if someone takes a massive amount of damage, I can use, if I even needed to, all 3 uses of Combat Medic at once to get them back up to a stable condition.
Yeah.
Cool.
It is still a limited healing.
Does that replace healer?
It does. It essentially, yeah. It's an adapted version of healer.
Upgraded. It's upgraded.
It's just better healer.
Yeah.
It's
The upgraded healer.
It's upgraded.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, he took this feat previously, so now it went from a 4th level feat to an 8th level feat. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's healer 2, combat medic.
I do have it, like, under the source of it. I put it under feat 4th/8th level.
Nice.
Because it is both.
It is. And I'm very happy with this.
Did you pay an extra fee to get that?
Did I pay an extra feat?
Like, was that your 8th level fee?
No. No. That I took the ASI, but that was an additional feat through the free time.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty. We actually have a dedicated healer now.
Dedicated?
No.
Not quite,
No.
but it is.
It's not quite dedicated.
Not quite dedicated, but
you know,
it
we
is.
have somebody spec'd into healing now.
That
Yeah,
at least,
I mean, like-
into healing.
yeah, you still have the
Fair,
healer
that's-
feat as well.
So to be fair, that's more like a paladin tier like healing thing, where you're going to use it for like a huge burst of healing in case somebody goes down. You're going to pick them up to like half health, right? But
Yeah,
it's
it's cool.
probably not going to
Yeah.
be like constant
It's
healing.
going to help
right?
a lot.
This is cool.
That's like paladin healing,
That's like
right? Which is just
if
use
we
all your
take-
lay on hand points.
If we take a considerable amount of damage in our arena control, I'm able to step in rather quickly and heal you quickly. I'll if I need to use 1, 2, or 3 uses of that feat.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
pretty cool.
Yeah. So, back. Was there anything else or any other stories that you wanted to tell with your adventures out and about town?
None that I can think of right off the top of my head, and I'm pretty well satisfied with this.
Back this time, just because I think it's fun, Edward, you find yourself sitting in the study of Fenrir Shinebright, working on this problem. The air is like tense with the questions that have been thrown out. Like, have you what is Fenrir Shinebright's voice? Does
I
anybody
think
remember?
like if a person was polymorphed into a sheep, then polymorphed back, but we shaved him a sweater out of his hair. That's what he sounds like.
Yes.
You ever it's not right. Have you ever considered the practical applications of altering the composition of the air itself?
I mean, like the implications are baffling, but the problem in
Oh
itself lies with
God.
the impractical terms listed, in which transmutation would be a moral dilemma imposed onto anybody who exerts it on its own free will.
You shut your damn mouth.
No.
You have a point. And turning a mere vapor into a fine metal mist, a weaponized a
Weaponized.
I'm really struggling. Weaponized air. That is pretty scary.
I mean, I can vaguely imagine it. Watching a person collapse, falling dead on the battlefield with no apparent cause of death, only to have surgeons and morticians carve his lungs open to see metal barbs molded exactly in the shape and, air pockets of his lungs sticking right inside the middle of his chest. I will admit the prospect of potentially acquiring something like that could be gruesome as much as it is horrifying.
At some point in time, discussion moves on to the puzzles of the canon of changes. Talking at length about the possibilities that it would have. You have a bit of a revelation. At least you think so. Something happens. Tell me, what is the answer to this riddle? Of what walks
So the
between
answer to this riddle.
never worn.
So the answer to this riddle is shadows.
Explain, Fenrir says.
Explain.
Explain.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
There you go.
you see, I think. Well, I mean, if you think about it, have you ever heard of the allegory of the cave? It was an allegory formulated by a man named Plato, and basically this man
It's not
came up
Plato.
with a theoretical
It's
scenario.
Plato universe, by the way.
Hmm?
It's not Plato in this. It's Play-Doh.
Well, okay, so
I'm just kidding.
Plato came up with this allegory in which people are chained against walls, forever subjected to watching shadows being cast upon by a firelight against a flat stone wall inside of a cave, in which they are not allowed to leave and they are not allowed to turn around. I mean, if you think about it in this sense, the entire premise of the canon of the canon of change, in itself is a story that directly correlates into the revelation that it's trying to bring us into. At least it's implying that the author of this imparts its knowledge to us cave people, forever seeing at least the physical manifestations of what we come to call matter within at least the real world. Whereas the author itself comes to see these manifestations as the three-dimensional objects of people outside of the cave. And what better way to, albeit smugly, and condescendingly call every single scholar not capable of comprehending the truth of his reality. What better way to smugly call other people cavemen than to literally make them solve a puzzle in which the solution is for them to have themselves emit themselves to be the cavemen? I mean, it's genius and poetic and also egotistical in a way only in the truest wizard sense, and that you could definitely tell this guy was probably compensating for something when he had a tower at least 11 stories tall. I mean, only people with 11-story plus tall towers compensate by writing this kind of literature in lines, but blurred between madness and epiphanies.
While you're sitting in a wizard's tower that is at least 3 stories tall.
How many stories
Actually,
is Fenrir Shanbright's tower?
Fenrir is only 1 story, but it's raised up off the ground. I don't know if you remember, but it's made of branches of a tree. It's a tree house.
Yeah, okay.
I
I
don't know if you
mean,
remember that, but yeah, it's a tree house.
Oh.
in
So,
this case, the shadows literally walk, at least the three-dimensional projections literally walk between the firelight. The shadows themselves are never burned. They are never worn, for they have no corporeal form, in which the shadows that we observe, at least witness, at least we observe in our caveman brains, according to this author, the shadows that we observe in itself are the form itself, right? And in understanding and accepting the fact that matter in reality itself is just a shadow in itself, and that we have not been looking at the real bigger picture, we can at least come to understand the degree of epiphany that this author in itself was trying to write.
um, and with that, you have a revelation. Uh, as you're talking about this. Um, so I'm so sorry. Um, ba 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 ba. Couple of things happen as a reward for studying this and having this big revelation about the nature of transmutation and magic and the will of the gods and creation, because as you so rightfully explained, uh, the canon of changes frequently talks about the creation that the gods do and how we as mortals can tap into that kind of creation, that oneness uh, that it discusses. Um, and you have this understanding that in talking about the difference between mortals and gods and what they are capable of, for some reason, the broker comes to mind. If you are the caveman and the gods are the ones casting the shadows, what is the shadow? It's not quite one, but not quite the other, but is inherently tied to both. Mere food for thought. Another bit of realization comes over the course of studying this. Uh, and that is, in what ways can the knowledge of creation help your parents trapped in a demiplane? Your goal that you that set you on your journey altogether, right? What ways can creation and the understanding of your relationship to the gods and creation. How may that help you? Unfortunately, I seem to only be able to give you questions, not answers. So I will give you this. As a result of your studying of the canon of changes, you can now cast fabricate once per day.
Ooh.
Simply put.
I already have fabricate
Oh,
Without
well,
using a
it
spell
doesn't. No
slot?
spell slot. No
in
spell
my
slot.
spell. It's
No spell
yeah.
slot required. Second, it's not a bad thing. You get a free casting of fabricate. You're fine. Uh,
All right.
Second, you're going to add 2 spells to your spell book. Unfortunately, I don't believe that you can cast them yet.
Ooh.
Um, but that's
Oh, we're
okay.
going 5th level plus.
Yep. Um,
Next level, maybe.
uh,
Is it creation?
you gain creation and
Yes.
and
Creation
mud.
fabricate. Basically become God.
Oh no.
Uh, what is the name of that spell? It's mud to water. Mud to
What? Sorry, what?
water to mud.
Create water?
No.
No, it's a mud
What
spell.
does the spell do? I probably have it memorized.
It allows you to turn stone to mud.
Stone shape? Or
Transmute rock to mud. Whew.
transmute
So
stone?
Yeah.
I'm
Whatever.
pretty sure. Yeah, transmute rock. Whatever. Yes, transmute
It's
rock.
transmute stone.
5th level.
Oh.
5th level spell. You can translate rock to mud and mud to rock, and it's actually a pretty nice area of effect spell. So, uh,
Mudslides.
yeah. So you choose an area of stone or mud that you can see that fits within a 40-foot cube that is within range, which is 120 feet. Non-magical rock of any sort in the area becomes an equal volume, thick and flowing mud that remains for the spell's duration. If you cast the spell on an area of ground, it becomes muddy enough that creatures sink into it. Each foot that a creature moves through the mud costs 4 feet of movement. It's a pretty
That's
heavy.
that's pretty hefty. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
pretty hefty. I agree.
any creature on the ground when you cast the spell must make a strength saving throw. A creature must make this save the first time it enters the area on a turn or ends its turn there. On a failed save, the creature sinks into the mud and is restrained, though it can use an action to end the restrained condition by pulling itself free of the mud. If you cast the spell on a ceiling, the mud falls. Any creature under the mud when it falls must make a dexterity saving throw. Uh, a creature takes 48 bludgeoning damage on a failed save or half as much as a successful one. Then there's also the fun transmute mud to rock.
Oh boy.
Now, again, you have to be in mud for this to happen. But non-magical mud or quicksand in an area no more than 10 feet deep transforms into soft stones for the spell's duration. Any creature in the mud when it transforms must make a dexterity saving throw. A failed save, the creature becomes restrained by the rock. The restrained creature can use an action to try to break free, succeeding on a strength check of DC 20,
Oh
or by
my.
dealing 25 damage to the rock. On a successful stage, a creature is shunted safely to the surface to an unoccupied space. I like this spell. I think it's funny and I think it's
It's a
fun.
cool spell. It's a cool spell.
Uh,
That's it. That's it.
That
It's just a cool spell.
that could
How would this interact with flesh to stone? How would they reconstitute their forms after I flesh to stone them and then stone to
what?
mud them?
what an interesting scenario. Try it out.
It's a trick question. It doesn't actually do anything. It specifies non-magical. Flesh to stone is magical. Good
I'm just
question. I got
saying.
you.
I just think it's in. Try it out. Try it out.
Maybe the DM is allowing the rules to bend.
Or maybe I just want you to waste a spell slot.
I mean, probably, yeah.
Or maybe you're
Anyway.
just that fucking good.
Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, so your reward is, I'm sorry that I didn't know that you already had the fabricate spell. I'm not gonna lie. I may, because part of the reward was the spell itself.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I already had it. I bought it. Well, I got it from leveling up, right? So I have it prepared and
yeah.
everything, right?
Yeah, I am very sorry for that. I may try to come up with something else to give you a stronger benefit on that. But definitely adding
Uh,
2 new 5th level spells is a kind of a big deal, even if you can't use them yet. It was supposed to be more of like a
yeah.
long-term
I
reward.
gotta wait till ninth
It's a
level, though.
expensive, but yeah, you're not
Yeah.
that far away from 9th level, so um,
I'm just a redacted amount of sessions away.
yeah. But anyway, we may rework the fabricate because that was, I didn't realize that you had picked it up on your level up.
Yeah.
So back in Nicodranus.
I'm about to uncompensate some wizard stone tower. Reels.
Back in Nicodranus. Brine, what are you doing with your couple of days since the test?
Brine has alternated between continuing research on the scope of Annabeth's damage and speaking with her friends and her mentor, and frequent trips to the bathroom to deal with stress.
Fair.
Your you are handed a letter from a post boy. Oh, here, ma'am. I have a letter for you.
That's pretty good.
And
Brine,
I can do little boy voices. Okay, that's about the only voice I can do. Old woman.
No, you did Danny voice.
Questionable.
Danny.
I'm a woman. Okay, women do little boy voices.
It's funny because it's true.
It's when older men do little boy voices is when it gets questionable.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right, though.
Yeah, but like women do boy voices because it's like it adheres to child labor laws.
I'm sorry.
No, he's got a point. You don't want to be
Yeah,
teaching
making
the reason why.
act is technically violating
Yeah.
child labor laws
Yeah.
in certain places.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's why they have grown women do it.
Oh man.
Here you go,
That's
sir.
actually why they
Oh,
have
sorry.
women instead of like children.
Here you go, ma'am. Your letter. Have a great day. And he runs
Thank
off.
you. She tips him the silver.
Woo!
The silver that you don't have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have silver. I don't have gold.
That's fair.
I kept some silver.
Which reminds me, I had to remember to throw out all of my gold as well. So, thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, I kept my silver.
Of course. We gotta have
The
something.
chump change stayed.
You have a letter requesting your presence back at the Library of the Cobalt Soul in a mere 3 hours' time regarding the results of your exam.
Brine shows up immediately, like within 20 minutes of receiving the letter. She is there, absurdly early, and like pacing back and forth.
Love that. You are brought down into the testing room was near the top floor of the library. And as you're familiar with this library, basically the first few floors are accessible to mostly the general public, provided that they a level of responsibility, etc.
Discretion.
You could
Discretion
make
is
it
the
up,
word you're looking
I
for.
believe, to level 4, right? I think we're level 3 or 4.
Level 3.
Level 3. You can make it to level 3. Uh, but there are other floors higher than that. Did we use the analogy that it went up or down? I can't remember.
We use the analogy of up, but it doesn't really matter. Each library is different. Essentially, including for like libraries with much less than these floors, but this many sections. We had gone with 9 sections that I knew of,
Right.
but
So
only
there are
had
9
access
rooms
up
above
to
you.
3.
And you are taken this time rather than up. You are taken down. Um, there's a certain point in time when you feel um a shift in reality, and you really probably wouldn't notice it if you didn't spend so much time traveling using the rows. But you feel that you are in a different place now as you climb down uh, or walk down the stairs. Pretty soon you find yourself in a rather small, unassuming room. It's got the same architecture as the rest of this place with arches and the like, but you notice that despite going down, you are currently on the surface as light streams in through the windows. Um, and a and but I will say that the in this room there are no books, no tomes. The walls are simply stone. Uh, waiting for you is Professor McNorn, and along with the High Curator you remember from before, Alonda, um, the one who was kind of nice to you. Uh, they both gesture for you to come towards them, uh, with faint smiles on their faces. Uh, as you come up to them. What do you say?
I I I hope the smiles mean good things, and I'm very pleased to see you again. She nods at. Sorry, what was her name? I'm so sorry.
Alonda.
She nods at
Alonda,
Alana.
High Curator. You can refer to her as High Curator. That is not implied.
Yeah, yeah. She says it's. She says, you know, thank you to you both. I recognize the kindness you showed me, High Curator, and thank you to you for your guidance.
She gives you a little bit of a nod, and starts All right, Brian. All right. How does it? How do accents?
Yeah.
All right, Brian. I am glad to see you. It took. I'm just gonna drop the fucking accent. It took a great deal of discussion to settle. You are quite the hot topic. At that. Within the order of the or. I'm sorry. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
You. Yeah. You are quite the hot topic within the Order of Insight lately. Order of Insight being the governing body within the library, within the Kobold Club. High-ranking officials, basically. Quite the hot topic, I tell you. Nonetheless, you are in need, and we help those in need. This is the sanctuary. She gestures around the room. Where we are now, the barriers between us and Ayun are thinner. It is much easier to contact her, to witness her here. I hope, Brine, that she can give you some guidance.
Does this mean I was accepted?
And Professor McNorn says, high five, rank 4. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna high five.
Brian's just gonna take a shaky breath in. Breathe out. Thank you. Tears gonna drip from her eye. Alright. Sorry. Should not let my emotions get the better of me.
Professor McNorn looks at you and says, is there anything you need, Brine?
Instruction? Is there anything I have to do?
Just reach out and talk to her.
Then I think I'm ready.
And that's where we're going to end today's session.
Damn it! I have been slow rolled
Oh, you just
for over a
Bro.
year!
you got God blocked, bro. You got God blocked.
Are we not doing the
Oh.
Are we not doing the communication then today?
Oh, fuck! I forgot! No, we are going to do that next time.
Okay, that is okay. All right, that was a lot of information to take in this session, though, so that is perfectly acceptable. Um,
I've
got
been waiting
God
for this
blocked.
moment for over a year.
you're gonna have to wait 2 more weeks. Um, Thank you all so much for watching today's session. For those of you on YouTube, click all the good buttons down below, like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have anything you would like to say about today's session, or anything you think I can improve on, or just general comments overall. Go check out the links below. Go check out Dawn of Time 06 on Twitch, as he will be streaming Group A for sure next week. Yeah. And of course, go check out our sponsors over at the Scribe and use the coupon code WOW at checkout to get 10% off your discount. And with that, we will see you next time with another slow roll of talking to Ayun. I'm kidding.
Who says it's gonna be a slow roll?
Oh, rap battle with God? Okay.
Oh, God. Alright. We'll see you
Yeah,
all
oh
next
God
time.
sounds
Thank you,
about right.
YouTube.